everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at a really cool way to build passive income using Airbnb.
Yeah.
Real estate is fantastic for building wealth,
Yeah.
but what we all saw back in 2008, traditional ways of doing it, like flipping houses, they can be risky.
Yeah, and that's what I think is so cool about Airbnb. It lets you tap into the real estate market, but without the same risks. What's really interesting is that you can actually make a ton of money. We're talking 6, maybe even 7 figures, and all without owning any property.
Whoa, okay. Before we go deeper, if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and like this video. So tell me, how does this work?
Well, it's all about something I call the Airbnb arbitrage. Basically, you lease properties from owners, and then you list them on Airbnb at a higher rate. You become the property manager. You take care of everything. Guest communication, cleaning, maintenance, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so you're like the middleman between the owner and the guests. But how do you get homeowners to agree to this?
Well, it's all about creating a win-win situation. When I approach a homeowner, I explain that I'll be taking care of everything. I mean everything. Cleaning, maintenance, even insurance. They just get their rent every month, often even more than they were asking for, without having to deal with tenants.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty good for the homeowner. But what about flexibility? Like, what if one of you wants to back out of the deal?
That's where month-to-month agreements come in. It's like a safety net for both sides. The homeowner can opt out if they need to, and you, as the operator, you're not stuck in a long lease. It gives you the flexibility to grow at your own pace.
Oh, that's smart. So it really reduces the risk for everyone. But I got to ask, doesn't managing all of this become like a full-time job? Dealing with guests and the cleaning and maintenance? I mean, where's the passive income?
That's a great question. And it leads us to the most powerful part of this model, outsourcing. You can build a virtual team to take care of almost everything. Everything from guest communication to cleaning and maintenance.
So you're telling me I can build a big income stream from Airbnb without owning property and without actually doing any of the work?
Exactly. Of course, you'll have to do some work setting things up at the beginning. But once your systems are in place and you've got your team, it can be incredibly hands-off, leaving you free to focus on other things.
Okay, that sounds amazing. But let's talk about the furniture. I imagine that can get really expensive. How do you handle those costs?
Well, furnishing is definitely an investment, yeah. But it doesn't have to be a bank breaker. I usually suggest budgeting 2 or 3 times the monthly rent for furniture. But here's the key. Focus on buying used furniture, like gently used. You can find great deals at thrift stores or online, places like Facebook Marketplace. You can even try estate sales.
Right, so you're saying I can get that money back pretty quickly.
Yes, exactly. Most times you'll earn that money back within the first few months of renting. After that, it's all profit.
Speaking of profit, let's get into how the money comes in. When someone books one of these Airbnb places, how do they pay you?
Airbnb actually takes care of all of that for you, which is incredibly convenient. They get the payment from the guest before they even show up, and they deposit it directly into your account, minus their fee, of course.
Okay, so I don't have to chase down payments or deal with cash.
Nope. The platform handles everything. It's really streamlined.
I love that. Love systems that make life easy. Okay, so for someone just starting out, any advice on picking the right market?
Oh yeah, that's super important. Big cities usually have restrictions on short-term rentals, but there are plenty of other places where you can do really well. Smaller towns, places near convention centers, or areas with big employers that attract business travelers. All of those can be very profitable.
Okay, so it's about finding those sweet spots where the demand is high, but the competition isn't too crazy.
Exactly. Like my first Airbnb venture was a 1-bedroom place, and I was making $1,600 profit per month consistently, and that let me scale up really quickly. Within a year, I was making 6 figures.
Wow, that's amazing. It really shows the potential of this whole approach.
It does, yeah. Cash flow is so powerful. It gives you the freedom to design your life the way you want without being stuck in a traditional job. Like for me, it meant traveling the world and pursuing my passions.
Sounds like you've really figured this out.
Yeah. Well, I found what works for me, at least. And I think one of the most important things for any entrepreneur, especially in real estate and Airbnb, is building good business credit. Business credit can really open doors for you. It helps you get better financing, negotiate better deals with suppliers. It's just essential, really, if you want to be an entrepreneur.
That makes sense. So let's talk more about this Airbnb arbitrage thing. You've mentioned finding properties, but how do you get those leases in the first place?
It's about finding places that are being marketed for long-term renters. So when you see a for rent sign or an online ad, that's when you reach out and make your pitch.
Interesting. So you don't look for properties that are already listed as short-term rentals on Airbnb?
Nope, not at all. Those properties might already be saturated in the market. The best opportunities are often the ones that owners are having trouble filling with traditional long-term tenants.
I see, I see. And you mentioned before that you always meet owners in person. Rather than doing everything over the phone, why is that so important?
It's all about building a good relationship. It's important in any business, but especially when you're asking someone to trust you with their property. Meeting face-to-face lets you connect on a personal level, build trust, and really understand their needs and concerns.
Makes sense. So let's say I found a good property and I'm meeting with the owner. What are some of the key things I should talk about?
The most important thing is to emphasize that you'll handle absolutely everything. I mean, everything. Cleaning, maintenance, talking to guests, even little repairs. Reassure them that you'll have it professionally cleaned several times a week and that you're committed to keeping everything in great condition.
So you're basically offering them peace of mind, which is a huge plus for any homeowner.
Exactly. And of course, you want to remind them that they'll still get their rent payments on time every month. And they could even get more than they were asking for before.
And those month-to-month agreements definitely make them feel more secure and give them flexibility. Now, earlier you mentioned something called red zone cities. Can you explain what those are and how they affect this strategy?
Yeah, red zone cities are places that have really strict rules about short-term rentals. Some even ban them completely. It can be a real headache trying to work in those places. So it's important to do your homework and understand the local laws before you even consider any properties in those areas.
So it's probably better for beginners to avoid those red zones?
Yeah, absolutely. But even in those cities, there are often opportunities in the nearby towns and suburbs where the rules might not be so strict. It's all about being strategic and finding the right spots.
Right, right. Let's talk about furnishing. You said we should use gently used furniture to save money. Any tips for finding good deals?
Oh yeah, thrift stores are great. Online marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, even estate sales, you can find some real gems there. And don't be afraid to get creative, like a fresh coat of paint or some new handles can completely transform a piece of furniture.
It's all about being resourceful. Now, you specifically mentioned that mattresses and bedding should always be brand new. Why is that?
Hygiene is so important, especially when you have guests coming and going. You want them to feel confident that their bed is clean and comfortable. And for me, fresh bedding is just non-negotiable.
Definitely. What about other things like towels, soap, shampoo? Do you pay for those yourself, or do you factor that into the rental price?
You'll definitely need to budget for those things. I usually provide guests with travel-sized shampoo, conditioner, and soap, and of course, plenty of fresh towels.
It's all about creating that nice, welcoming experience for the guests.
Absolutely. And those little extra touches can make a big difference, like a welcome basket with snacks and a bottle of wine, or even just a personalized note. It's those little things that make the experience special, and they lead to good reviews.
Those are great ideas. Okay, let's talk about the tech side of things. You mentioned electronic locks and Nest cameras. How do those help with managing the properties?
Electronic locks are amazing. You can give each guest a unique code to get in, so you don't have to worry about physical keys or meeting them in person for check-in. It's so much easier for both of you. And Nest cameras give you that extra security and peace of mind. You can keep an eye on things remotely.
So it's all about creating a smooth and secure experience for everyone.
Exactly. Technology can make everything so much simpler. And speaking of simplifying things, we can't forget about outsourcing. It's one of the biggest keys to making this a truly passive income stream.
Yeah, you said before that you can delegate almost any task to a virtual team. What are some of the tasks you recommend outsourcing?
Guest communication is a big one. You can have a virtual assistant handle all the messages, confirm bookings, send instructions before they arrive, even manage the reviews. Cleaning and maintenance are also super easy to outsource. Just find some reliable local cleaners and handymen.
So you're basically putting together a team of experts to handle all the day-to-day stuff, which frees you up to focus on the bigger picture.
That's it. And building a strong team comes down to communication, setting clear expectations, and finding people you can trust.
Let's go back to that story about your student who built this whole business.
Yeah.
While he was homeless, what do you think helped him succeed? aside from the strategy itself?
His determination and resourcefulness were amazing. He didn't let his situation stop him. He saw an opportunity and he went for it. He was willing to work hard, learn everything, and build relationships with homeowners. And he wasn't afraid to ask for help.
That's inspiring, for sure. It shows that anyone can do this, as long as they have the right mindset and approach.
I think so, yeah. It's all about believing in yourself and taking action.
So for someone listening who's feeling a little overwhelmed, maybe intimidated by the idea of starting an Airbnb business, what's your number one piece of advice?
Start small. Don't try to lease 5 properties at once. Start with one, learn the process, get your systems running smoothly. Then you can gradually scale up as you get more comfortable.
That's good advice. It's like taking baby steps and building momentum.
Exactly. And remember, there are tons of resources out there to help you. Books, online courses, communities, mentorship. Don't be afraid to tap into those resources and learn from people who've already done it.
It's amazing how just changing your thinking a little bit, from owning properties to managing them, it opens up so many possibilities.
It really does. And like we've been talking about, building that business credit is so important for all of this.
Yeah, for sure. It gives you that financial security and opens up doors that you might not have even known were there.
Exactly. It's like building a solid foundation for your business ventures.
Yeah, I like that. So as we're wrapping things up here, I want to go back to that main idea, making passive income with Airbnb, even if you don't own any property. It might seem kind of scary at first, but you've laid it all out so clearly.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to show people that they can achieve financial freedom if they're willing to try different things.
Yeah, it's about challenging those old ideas about building wealth and creating a life that you actually enjoy.
Exactly. And, passive income, it's not about being lazy or anything. It's about setting up systems and strategies so that your money is working for you, even when you're not.
Yeah. It's about designing a life where your income isn't tied to how many hours you work.
That's it. It's about freedom and flexibility.
So for someone listening right now who's feeling inspired, ready to jump in, what's one last question they should think about as they get started on this journey?
That's a good one. I would ask, what if you could create a life where you weren't, constantly trading your time for money, where your income was steady, no matter what you were doing? Whether you were working or on a beach somewhere, what would that look like for you?
Wow, that's a really powerful question. It makes you rethink your whole relationship with work and money.
It does.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. This has been incredibly insightful.
It's been my pleasure. And for anyone listening who wants to learn more about building that strong foundation through business credit, go check out fixflipcredit.com. It's the best program out there.
And for all our listeners out there, if you found this information helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video. We'll be back with more insights and explanations soon.